You don't have to sneak the promos for the boat in there. We're going to let you plug the boat. Don't worry about it.
But they're putting us slowly out of business. If you look up and down the New Jersey seaboard, remember Atlantic Highlands had a huge fleet back in the day. That was like Murderer's Row there. Same with Point Pleasant, Cape May. Cape May used to have all these party boats and like for hire boats. It's dwindled. It's dwindled because the constant over-regulation. We dodged a bullet with this, not to change and jump subjects, but they were going to make us slow down because of the whales. I don't know if you heard about that. So wait, that was another one. There was like another regulation. We had a boat custom built for speed. Now they're going to tell us we can't go fast.
Now, is there anyone out there who wants to go fast? Anybody?
I want to go fast.
Hello and welcome to episode number 35 of the NJ Multi-Species Podcast. I am your host, Joe Santiago, and as usual, my partner, Chris Pereira, a.k.a. Matt Nelson.
You're going back to that?
I'm bringing Matt Nelson back.
Jesus Christ.
We had some plans for an episode tonight, but they got canceled last minute because Jerry Zagorski seemed to throw a match into a can of gasoline and spark a huge debate on the saltwater forum, Chris?
Well, technically, I struck the match. Jerry just fanned the flames. No, so we were supposed to have Kevin and Sandy Kennedy on today from South Jersey, catching a lot of nice bowfin and snakeheads, bass, and unfortunately, they couldn't make it. They had to cancel. We'll try to get them on at a later time, but separate from that, I mentioned something about the striper regulations and circle hooks and all that stuff when I posted last 2 weeks episodes. 2 weeks episode ago on NJ Fishing, I mentioned that we'd touch on the subject of the striper regulations and the circle hooks and everything, and it like blew up to like over 2,200 views. It just keep going up. People keep commenting on it, and just everyone wants to throw their 2 cents in and stuff. So we're gonna do the whole we're gonna do the majority of the episode on it.
We've U-turned directly into this calamity here. So that's what this episode's going to be about. We have Chris Lido or Lido. I'm not exactly sure how he says it, but longtime fisherman magazine writer, professional saltwater mate. So he's perfect for this discussion. We have some news, Chris, before we bring him on.
I did notice that, and I'm not sure how long this was up here, if I missed it, but it looks like Frank Rucinski caught a 14 1/4 inch white perch submitted to the Skillful Angler. That's pretty cool. We don't usually see. I don't remember seeing too many white perch submitted over the years that I've been looking at it.
Last year there wasn't one.
No, I don't think I'd have to look back, honestly, but I don't remember. I know up by us, at least in Central and North Jersey, it's pretty tough to come across a white perch that's bigger than 10 or 11 inches. You get a 12, 13 is pretty big. I've never seen a 14 plus personally. And I've always heard that they get them in like the brackish water down South Jersey, but I've never seen someone take a picture of one and submit it.
Me neither. I've seen Mark Mercer. I've seen Mercer hold one from around my area that's closer. It might be one, but it was never actually measured. Other than that, I'm trying to think what Mayhem, the activity inside multi-species Mayhem has picked up dramatically with fishing pictures. I love it. I encourage you all to continue posting your fishing pictures. It's awesome. A lot of fishing pictures, and there's also an uptick in females. I don't know if you noticed that, Chris. There's more females posting fishing pictures in Mayhem, which is awesome too. If you're not a member of Multi-Species Mayhem, I recommend not joining it. I wouldn't go in, and if you're in there watching this, I would leave. But if you're gonna stay there, it is kind of cool.
Well, let's just put it this way: it's definitely not for everyone. If we just made another Facebook fishing page that was just like all the other ones, it'd be kind of a waste of my time.
Well, the podcast Facebook page is still semi-professional. You know,
well, like that I wish people would follow and like that. That'd be great. But
that's
I don't
like
think
the
they
serious. Yeah,
understand
that's
how it
like
works.
the podcast Facebook page is like the serious side page, but no one looks at that. Like the circus in the Mayhems where everyone is.
No, I mean, I think the way I put it to you earlier today or yesterday, I said basically, Multi-Species Mayhem Facebook group basically serves the same purpose that like an insane asylum serves to the community.
Yeah, basically,
the nut jobs have to go somewhere, so we go there. That's where we go.
Yeah,
and all the best fishermen are nut jobs. Everyone knows that.
There's basically no rules as long as you're not just deliberately bashing someone over something that has nothing to do with fishing. Then you might get voted out, but other than that, you should be okay.
It's a good time if you can handle it. Like I said, it's definitely not for everybody, but
the thing that's strange though, like I think I said this to you the other day, Andrew Still is banned from every fishing page on the eastern seaboard. He's probably blocked on Facebook like by more people than Adolf Hitler himself. But in Mayhem, he's a beloved character, and like he was on the phone with me the other day. He's like, "Why the hell do they want me on? I got nothing to talk about. I don't know, Andy. They love you. We all love you. Don't know what to say.
Not everyone.
No explanation.
Not everyone.
Not everyone. Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, that kind of it's kind of paints the big picture of what we're trying to get. If you don't like what someone has to say or what someone's characterisms are, I mean, you just block them. The world doesn't revolve around you. If you don't like something, you take care of it on your own.
I got ripped for not wetting my hands when I caught some wild trout yesterday.
Yeah,
some guy called me an influencer. I'm not an influencer either. I'm just. I can't believe he called me an I'm not an influencer. I'm just a person in a bedroom on a microphone. I don't know what this is. All right, let's go. So, Chris Lido, let's start. Deuce, can we get him in? Can we cut the show?
You don't have.
Okay, so we have our guest here for our discussion that we're about to have. He's been fishing New Jersey since the 1970s. Family owns a pretty well-known boat, the Gambler. He mates and master captains on the boat. Also been writing in the outdoors world for about 25 years. We're pretty honored to have Chris Lido on the podcast tonight.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it a lot.
You should be honored. Joe said your name right.
Yeah, you did. It was perfect.
Chris, can you say hi to him? Just say hello.
Hey, how's everybody out there on the podcast world?
He was trying to bust my.
Are we hooking and cooking, nailing and scaling them?
We have a lot of important questions to ask here. Chris, where do you want to start here?
So basically, Chris, we had a different episode scheduled. We had a couple from South Jersey that was going to come on. They had to cancel, and at the same time, I had posted something on the NJ Fishing Forum mentioning that, hey, I'm going to touch the subject of the striper regulations and the circle hooks and all that stuff since the striper fishing's been so good and everyone's jumping out there. And just that little comment kind of blew up. And so we scrambled today to get someone. Your name came up, and we really appreciate you coming on. This is totally last minute, and we thank you for taking the time to come on here and talk with us about this.
Off the cuff.
Yeah. So anyway, so the first thing I think we want to touch on is the circle hooks, and I know there's guys that hate them. There's guys that don't mind them. There's some guys like them. I've been using circle hooks for some different types of fishing for a while now, including some stuff that most guys still laugh at, but I wouldn't be doing it if it didn't work. One of those things is ice fishing. I use circle hooks on my tip-ups ice fishing, and they work like a charm. Nobody believes me. But one of my major points was with the striper fishing is if someone doesn't know what type of circle hook, size circle hook, type circle hook, or how to use it, that circle hook's basically useless in their hands.
That's interesting. I have used them for ice fishing as well. In fact, one of the largest muskies was on 12-pound fluoro with a circle hook that we ever caught. It was probably about maybe a 46-inch tiger at Fernesto, and that was on a perch rig. So circle hooks work great. I started using inline circle hooks probably in the early 90s when I started sailing aboard the party boats out of Atlantic Highlands, and they would striper fish in the spring. Not a lot of people do this, but you would anchor up at Romer Shoals, and the mates would have little cut-off baseball bats, and they would go around whacking surf clams, just chumming the heck out of the surf clams. And you had a three-way slider rig and a gob of clams, and you let it out there. And with the bait holder J-hooks, we were deep hooking so many. And I had gotten a pack of them from Mustad, and I tried them, and I snelled them, and I didn't do that well. And I'm like, why aren't these things working? Like, I wasn't getting the hookups. The fish would grab it, start swimming off with it. I'd lock it up, resist the urge to set the hook like Roland Martin, and I wasn't coming tight. So then I started looking at like commercial fishermen who use circle hooks on long lines. Commercial fishermen long line swordfish, they long line sharks, they long line tuna. They need to hook something and keep it hooked, and they need to deliver their catch live to where it's not swallowed something and they bring it up dead. Well, how do they put it on the line? They use a crimp, and that's a ganglion with a little crimp, so the circle hook swings. So I said, okay, I looked up the Homer Road loop knot, super easy. The Rapala knot, another super easy loop knot. And I tried it. And bang, it was like a eureka moment. Hook and fish right there, hook, 8-ball side pocket, getting them. My hookups were damn near 100% with the loop knot. When I do seminars, I have a 22-aught Mustad circle hook. It's a huge hook that Chris Fisher from O-Search sent, and it was a prop, but they did use, like, it's supposedly like a great white hook, and I attach it to a length of thick paracord, and I drop it over the end of a card table, and then I just pull on it, and I do it with a clinch knot, and half the time the hook just kind of, the knot is so stiff on the eye it just pulls over the table. But when I put a loop on there, that circle hook rotates and bang, hooks the edge of the table every time.
Now, real quick, these circle hooks that you were using, were they straight eyes or were they angled eyes?
Both. I did not experience any, difference in either style, because I know what you're talking about. The angled eye is meant to be snelled, right? But the straight eye is meant to be, either looped on. But I've used both in a pinch. I've had to get the angled ones, which are more readily available, and use those. Right. Had just as good success with those.
Now, but do you see as many missed circle hook hookups with the angled eye snelled on as you do with the straight one?
Nope, it's identical, and I think a lot of that too has to do with the tackle you're using as well. So if you have a stiff high modulus rod and you're leaving it locked in the holder, I think you're gonna miss more bites on circles than if you have, say, a Llama Glass. I'm looking at my Llama Glass Honey over there, a slower action rod that it loads up a little bit as that fish pulls.
Yeah, what I've noticed sometimes is, right, let's say you don't have a bait runner and you just kind of loosen the drag a little bit, or maybe you don't even loosen it that much, and you throw it out there, and I'm not supposed to set the hook. I'm gonna let the fish take it. If that fish takes it and runs hard enough, it's basically doing a hard hook set on itself, and that circle hook can rip out the same way as if you yanked it out, right?
I don't find that. I
No?
don't fish a free line. This past week we were live line in bunkers, and all the hookups I got were with the spinning reel with the bell closed.
And just that initial, as they're running and it comes tight and it yanks just because the fish is running, you don't find that affects the
No,
hookup.
no.
Okay.
I'm using a bigger circle hook than most people. I see a lot of people on the boat come on board with 6 O's, 7 O's. I try to get the biggest ones I can find when I'm
Right. Well,
live lining.
I think that's another major mistake that I was going to mention
Is
is
the size.
it's harder to go too big with a circle hook than it is to go too small. If you go too
Right.
small, you're really going to see the negative effects of that, I think.
Absolutely. It's that they used to say the rule is 2 hook sizes bigger than your regular J hook.
But
okay.
but now so overall you agree with this law and you like it in place.
The circle, yeah, I do. I don't like to see long drop backs, and especially the first couple weeks of our striper season when every fish was over 40 inches. So we're letting those fish go, and all of them are hooked on the outside of the mouth, and they're able to be easily released. So I don't have a problem
What
with
about
the circle hook requirement.
what about the snag and drop? Because that's always been one of the funnest ways to fish. Everyone did that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that being eliminated?
It creates more work for me, that's for sure. I mean, I have to snag the bait and then put it on the customer's rods. But last year I did lose a fish. It was probably a 44-incher. One of the other mates snagged a bunker and had to run and grab a rod from a customer to help him, and just left it there, and a bass took it. And the hook we landed the fish. I remember the guy was on oxygen and was an old timer on oxygen. He could barely reel it in. And when the fish hit the deck, and that snag hook was in the right on the edge of the where it goes into past the throat. And I was trying to get it, and that big girl flared her mouth, took a swallow, and sucked the whole thing right past that little opening, and she bled out in like 2-3 seconds.
Huh.
So I'm pretty against that using that method, especially early in the season when all those big fish are around. And hey, I'm no Bambi advocate. I'm here to kill some fish and make some money and get some tips. But with the regulations being what they are, we still have to owe it to ourselves to be conservationists and take care of these fish when we release them.
Well, I think a lot of the guys are saying, right, Chris, they're complaining that they feel they're gut hooking as many fish as they do with J hooks, which just means they're not using them right at all. If you're
right, and that was part of that was part of my argument. I mean, I wouldn't say argument, but these guys are complaining that I'm using the circle hooks just like they said, and I'm gut hooking all these fish. I didn't gut hook as many with the J hooks, blah, blah. And I mean, if they're not using the circle hook properly, like let's say if I went out and I'm snagging and dropping and I'm holding the line in my hand, like I'm holding the rod, I snag a bunker and I'm holding it and I can feel everything that's happening, and I feel that bass take it and I set the hook right away, I'm not gut hooking almost any fish. I honestly can't remember gut hooking any stripers doing it that way. You put that rod down, though, what you said is going to happen a lot of the time.
Yeah, but what do people do? They snag the bunker and they open the bail and let that thing swim all over. There's big loops of line. You're not tight. You're not tight to the fish. A bass has a mouth like a freaking giant vacuum cleaner. It takes about 1 Mississippi for him to eat an adult bunker. 1 Mississippi. And that's it. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and I think, and then the main problem, I think, is the guys are using the circle hooks. They're not using them properly. And I guess that's our main thing here, and that's what we're hoping, through your explanation and through this discussion, anyone that's listening to this can hopefully start to learn how to use the circle hook better and appropriately. And one, you're not, I know you agree, you're not missing any more hook sets you're not missing any more hookups with the circle hook than with the other hooks if you're doing it properly. And once you hook them, I think they're staying hooked up better than they're on a regular hook with the circle hook.
Oh yeah, they find. Yeah, no doubt. No, I agree on all those points.
Chris, well, there's two more kind of pieces of this that Jerry included. One of them is kind of the subject off the circle hooks a little bit. They put these regulations in place, obviously, to bring the striper fishery back that they were worried about. The striper fishery is currently insane. You could almost walk across the fish, yet the restrictions continue to get tighter. What exactly is the goal that they're trying to accomplish with this?
I am really not certain. They always say, "Oh, we're using the best science available." Well, define what is that? Science is a perfect thing in an imperfect world, but the fishery is definitely healthy. Even in the last couple of weeks, we've seen different bodies of fish as they move south. So the big girls came through. Now we're starting to see the 40 inchers, the 36 inchers. Even this week, we caught our first bonus tag fish, which are 24 to 28 inches. So I'm not really sure why they're hitting the panic button at this point. And at the last striper meeting, when they told us about these emergency regulations that we had to have, which we're fishing under now, they said, well, if you don't like the regulations, then you're going to have a full moratorium and no bonus tag. And I said, great, you're basically giving us a choice. We can either have the guillotine or the firing squad. Thank you. Yes, sir, I'll have another. But I do know, in speaking to some of the old-time baymen down in the Chesapeake, there is a bit of a water pollution issue with some of the younger of the year fish. But up north, the Hudson River stocks, the Delaware River stocks, and even now the Raritan River, believe it or not, now that some of these dams are coming down on these rivers and stripers are finding them again, I think those are the stocks that are now getting really strong. But
Jerry had mentioned that the Chesapeake reporting some kind of low stock was a big piece of this.
Right.
But then the other thing that's involved was they want to possibly, one of the choices for 2024 is to make the slot bigger on commercial vessels, not commercial, but pay to fish vessels like yours, party boats. Right. And that's a controversial subject. I think you're the perfect person to talk about it with because you work there.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, we're going to get our fish, whether we get them in an hour or two. I'm going to work hard to make sure that my customers have something to show for their efforts. And they basically set a precedent with the bluefish regulations. Charter boats and party boats are able to keep 5, whereas private boats and shorebound anglers are able to keep 3. So you're seeing a precedent where the interest of the party boats and the charter boats is being protected, and I'm happy about that. even to go as far as looking at what happened with Fluke and how we petitioned the Secretary of Commerce and we got those regulations adjusted. So I think politicians are starting to see that fishing in New Jersey has a real big impact on the tourism dollar. So we're able to keep a few more fish than, say, someone who bought a boat and paid for a free saltwater registry. Because we're absolutely hammered with fees. I mean, we need a fillet at sea permit. We need an HMS permit for mahi. We need a permit to fish for fluke and cod off 3 miles. So we are getting nickel and dimed by the government. So it's about time that we do get a few fish back, and our customers can take home a few fish at the end of the day. Some of the guides, that do catch and release, they don't understand. For us, fish are food. They're not friends, and we want a few fish to keep for our customers to take back. Otherwise, we'll never see them again.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I didn't know exactly how I felt about this at first. When you first read it, it's kind of easy to jump up and go, "Oh, what the hell? That's bullshit." But when you think about it, and you think about how you just put it, I'm actually okay with this. I mean, generally speaking, I don't want the government to add any extra regulations ever. I wish just people, and I've said it before, I wish just anglers would take it upon themselves to regulate themselves individually.
Right.
But because, he's going to have a customer on his boat, right, that maybe hasn't fished in 2 years, and he loves eating stripers, and this is the first time he's been able to go out into whatever the case may be. Now, what right does the government have to regulate this guy keep 2 or 3 fish if he wants 3 fish? It's just kind of ridiculous. But the other side of that coin is a lot of people can't be trusted to regulate themselves, and there's a lot of greed and whatnot. But so I understand, obviously, there has to be regulations. But, if you think about them getting a bonus fish, or what is it, a extra fish or a bigger slot, or what's it?
Yeah, the bonus tags, which are the unused commercial quota, are fish between 24 and 28 inches. As soon as they're caught, the tag goes in its jaw.
But private anglers can have that too.
They can buy those. Yeah, they can get those via the New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife page. Yeah, they can get those tags.
And I'm okay with that too. I know guys have problems with that too. Like that's actually helping the fish population, I think.
Yeah.
It's helping grow, bigger fish.
Yeah.
But
how do you even?
We're not using that much of that quota. It's about 12 to 17% of the allocation. So the bonus tag is they're not taking a lot of fish out of the biomass with that.
Yeah. Plus those fish aren't that old anyway. But what I was trying to get to is the proposed regulation that's going to allow for hire boats. Is it that they're going to be allowed to keep an extra fish per person, or is it a bigger slot for what they?
Yeah, C and E were the two proposals. I have them here, but C and E were the two proposals. So you've got option C is a vessel and shore angler is 1 fish 28 to 31, and then for hire is 1 fish 28 to 33. So it gives us an extra 2 inches. I like that option versus option E, where the private vessel shore angler, and this is where my surf fishing experience kind of comes into play. The private vessel shore angler under option E would only be able to keep 1 fish at 30 to 33, so it's even narrower. Well, and you're punishing surf anglers who oftentimes see a 28-inch fish is like the fish of the day for them. So I don't like E. And I think C is the most fair, and it doesn't punish the private boat and shore angler while still providing charter and party boats with an extra couple inches in that slot so that their new anglers, the neophytes, the people with the rental rods holding the spinning reels upside down and reeling, can keep a couple fish at the end of the day.
There'll be guys that won't be able to look past the unfairness of this, but I'm totally okay with the for hire boats, like there being an extra incentive for people to go on them, and it's a big part of the industry in total. I mean, I think I'm totally fine with that. I mean, as far as it's basically a pick your poison type of thing, but
we know guys like that, like guys like Ken Lazurchek. I mean, he has his own 20-foot boat down there in Keyport, and he's always out on party boats. Some days he just jumps on a party boat.
Yeah, gets too rough for your 22-footer. The Gambler's 90 feet long with a 26-foot beam and 4 turbo diesels. Come on aboard in 8-foot seas. There'll be no problem. You
don't have to sneak the promos for the boat in there. We're going to let you plug the boat. Don't worry about it.
But they're putting us slowly out of business. If you look up and down the New Jersey seaboard, remember Atlantic Highlands had a huge fleet back in the day. That was like Murderer's Row there. Same with Point Pleasant. Cape May. Cape May used to have all these party boats and like for hire boats. It's dwindled. It's dwindled because there the constant over-regulation. We dodged a bullet with this, not to change and jump subjects, but they were going to make us slow down because of the whales. I don't know if you heard about that. So wait, that was another one. There was like another regulation. We had a boat custom built for speed. Now they're going to tell us we can't go fast, So it's always something that we're fighting for. And we have groups like United Boatmen and the Party Boat Association and things like that kind of keep an eye out for the industry. And
most of this stuff that falls on you guys, would you say it's more federal or more state?
It's the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Council and NOAA.
Okay.
The state just kind of goes along with whatever they're told.
But the circle hook rule in itself is an actual federal regulation, right?
Well, if you think about it, striped bass fishing in federal waters is illegal. So it's more of a state regulation. The federal waters begin at the EEZ at 3 miles and go out to 200 miles. So that's so it's not a federal mandate. It is for sharks and things like that for pelagics, but the state really mandated that circle hook requirement.
So did all the states that are within the migratory route of the striped bass just all kind of agree under these organizations that this is, we're going to do the circle hook rule?
Yeah. I don't think they have a lot of people who are used to thinking for themselves. And I'm going to get in hot water, but before I came to work for the Gambler, I worked for Fish and Wildlife, and I worked up at PQuest, and I did the Clean Vessel program, and I got to know a lot of biologists and law enforcement officers, which is a good thing. And they really, they keep the data. They're really good at keeping the data. But when it comes to like new proposals and new things, I think they just kind of follow the herd.
Yeah, and then obviously that's not always going to come out with an appropriate result.
No one's ever happy. It's like
Yeah, I get. Well, you can't make everyone happy, that's for sure. But
can you show that shirt? That shirt's cool.
Gambler Sport Fishing.
Show me the sleeve. Oh, look at that shirt, Chris. That's cooler than our shirt.
They're the performance tees.
Ooh,
that's one of those like UV performance shirts with
that wicking material, and red hides the blood real good, right? Because we kind of like it when the decks run red,
Chris, listen,
you have to wash your shirt.
I can't thank you enough for coming on, especially last minute. You really helped us put this together. What do you want to get out there? Any info you want to make sure you get out?
No, I mean the fisheries, the fishing on New Jersey is alive and along the coast is alive and well. fluke fishing with the new slot limit, the 2 fish between 17 and 18. It worked out so well for us. People got to keep a few fluke that they're down there
How do you
at
think
Shore House.
how do you think that's looking for next year? You think that has any chance of staying?
Yeah, status quo. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah?
going to be
Nice.
status quo. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay.
But we're gearing up. We got like stripers coming up, and one of my favorite fisheries is offshore sea bass fishing, and that's going to go in November and December.
Chris,
We'll
you were
fish
just talking
blackfish.
about that.
How many guys you fit on the Gambler?
She's licensed for 149, but we limit capacity to around 45 or 50. So on tuna trips, we limit it to 20 because everybody gets a bunk.
Do you charter the boat?
We do some private charters, yeah.
What's the minimum number on a charter?
30.
30 people. There's your
30
number,
folks.
Chris.
We could do
Yeah.
that. So if we get 50 guys, we could charter the boat, no problem.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you got the date available.
There you go.
We have the
There
date
it is.
available. Keeping in mind that like June, July, and August summers are like, kind of out.
Well, we're specifically thinking the offshore sea bass because guys
Yeah.
have asked us already.
Yeah. We're going to do every Sunday into Monday from next Sunday on through December.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're big humpbacks. So we do 40, 60-mile wrecks. We leave the dock around 11 o'clock. We take a nice slow boat out, and get to the spot around daybreak, maybe a little earlier, and lump up on those things. And there's a weak fish on the bottom out there.
How deep is it?
200 to 250 feet.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I've never I love fishing for sea bass, but I've only done it inshore. I use it light jig and I'm catching sea bass and it's a blast. Is it still fun to fish for them that deep too, or is it just kind of?
Yeah, you can catch them on jigs too. You catch them on butterfly jigs. Yeah,
there's not too. Oh, all right.
Yeah, I mean it's.
What do you have, like a 26-ounce Spro?
Nah, those the little butterfly jigs, the faceted jigs get down real quick. I mean, let's face it, sea bass don't put up a great fight, but it's one of my favorite fish to eat. I make a mean sea bass ceviche. And it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah. But the boat is awesome. The fishing's good. If we could just, kind of stick to our guns here and all stay together. I know people over this striper thing are going to, jump down our throat. And then they say, well, it's the commercial guys. Well, there's, it's the commercial guys have families to feed too. So like, stop blaming the commercial guys too, because they're just trying to make a living as well. So I had a good time on this podcast. So I really appreciate you guys having me on. And
thank you for being here, man. Thank you. So
we really appreciate this.
It's
last
great.
minute,
I saw some of your older ones and watched them. RVTA. I grew up in Clinton, so I grew up right in between Spruce Run and Round Valley, and those circle hooks, inline circles, amazing on hybrid stripers, troll and herring.
Yeah,
there you go.
I mean, and I fish locked in the holder.
And you know what else? They're really. I don't know if you ever fished for the hybrid stripers like late into the fall where you just kind of chum them up on liver and shit.
Oh yeah, I fished Pakong and done that. Yep.
Yeah, I won't do that without circle hooks either, and it pisses me off anyone that doesn't, because like those fish inhale that on impact.
Oh yeah, yes. Cat food and liver.
Yeah, and
here he goes. This is Chris. This is the problem with every episode he does this. He says goodbye and then he talks to you for another half an hour about something else.
So just to be clear on the circle hooks, anyone who's never used them or is having trouble using them, what are the main keys just before we head out? So you need one that's definitely big enough. Don't go small on the circle hook. Make sure you go up a couple sizes if you're. You
have to use the proper knot. You can't just use any knot.
Tie a loop knot in there. I mean, with the bent eye, I think you could get away with snelling it, but I think I gotta agree. The loop, I snell the bent eye a lot of times just out of laziness or whatever. But the straight eye, you have to tie a loop knot, in my opinion. Yeah. Snelling the straight eye is just recipe for disaster. And it's got to be the inline. The offset circle hooks are absolutely useless.
Right. Like volleyball in gym class. Let it rotate. Rotate.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Let it find the mark. And, everyone have a great and successful season. And, congratulations on the podcast.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
Take care.
See you.
Bye.
All right, so he was awesome. I want one of those shirts. If we get the Sea Bass charter on that boat for the group, maybe I could get one of those shirts.
I mean, you could buy one, I'm sure.
If they sell them, I'll buy one. I don't care. The only shirt I'm not buying is Fishmonger because he's mean to me. Not buying a Fishmonger shirt ever.
He's not mean to you. He just forgets.
I don't know. He was mean. He hurt my feelings. He was my hero. We are going to have another guest on real quick. This is going to be Pete from Battle Creek Baits. Pete makes all the rubbers that Lake Pack-On Guide Service is currently using to throw to catch all those big walleye they're posting. Chris, you had a chance to go out fishing with them last week and actually use some of these baits?
I actually did not use any of them. That particular day, we were doing a lot better with metal. But I did get to see the baits, and I'm trying. You know what? I think Aaron's other buddy that was with us, one of his other, I guess, guides in training, he did get a nice one on it, on one of these like. It was a very different style of plastic. I'd never really seen anyone use that for what we were doing. I'm sure he'll have them, so when you get him on here, he can tell you. Just the shape of it. It wasn't a paddle tail, wasn't a grub tail, wasn't a fork tail plastic, nothing like that. It was like a weird bulbous leech looking thing. Was
it the picture I saw on Facebook of that real fat thing, and then Max tried to 3D print replicate one? Is that what it was?
It's like, it kind of looks like one of those leech lures, and it's got like a fatter, like it's like a thicker flat body, like a ribbed body, and it's got a little tail with like a little bulb on it almost.
That thing looked cool.
I don't know if it's the official name, but Aaron just kept referring to it as a floppy dick.
Oh my God! Somebody was just telling me they're looking for somebody to make them a plastic chicken liver that just never comes off, and you just keep respraying it. I think they want Steve from Signal 11 to make the chicken liver spray. You just keep.
I think you'd be better off with like a gel, no?
I don't know. Yeah, we need some chicken liver jelly that we
actually probably be better off with like a blob sponge that looks like it. And then you just saturate it in some kind of synthetic liver juice.
Could do that too. Yeah, but he was a really cool guest, Chris. Oh, I didn't show the picture either. He missed it.
Can you show what's one of his old articles? And it's got a picture of
this was Chris Lido from 2012 when an article he did.
Hold that still for a second, because we're gonna cut that still frame and I'm gonna post that everywhere.
Why? Because it's a dead trout?
No, just because you look so different.
I was a young kid. I'm freaking 20 years ago.
You're a chubby young kid.
So are you. All right. So, Deuce, let me know when you have him. Chris, other than that, how about John Dorn? What's he been up to?
What's John Dorman up to? It looks like he's been catching some bass and a lot of other species in the mix as well. Some nice crappie.
He just continues to be one of the greatest walleye fishermen in New Jersey on accident. He just slaughters walleye on accident.
Well, hey, you target smallmouth and walleye pretty much the same way this time of year. So
yeah, I guess. He does catch some big ones, though, too. He says he throws 30 inchers back, too. You don't believe him, but I think...
No, he didn't throw no 30 inchers back.
I don't know. John, if you're watching, show him the 30s.
Yeah, if you catch a 30-inch walleye and you want me to believe it, that fucking thing better be on a tape measure.
All right, so our next guest is Pete from Battle Creek Baits. This is the man that makes all Aaron Graybill. I talk about Aaron Graybill like he's Snoop Dogg now. This is the guy. This is basically Snoop Dogg's joint roller. It's his personal rubber bait man. Pete, I don't even know your last name. I just know you're Battle Creek Baits. We're happy to have you here.
Appreciate it, boys. What's going on? My last name's Capuano. A lot of guys nickname me Cappuccino if you can't pronounce it. So
Pete Cappuccino is here. All right, Chris.
Well, Joe screws up a lot of people's names, but you just made it real easy on him, I guess.
I forgot the real one already. Capacucci. I already don't remember it.
Pete Cappuccino. That's what we're going. We're going with that. Yeah, Pete. So I was fishing with Aaron last week, and his buddy was throwing. And now I don't know if this is the actual name of the lure of the plastic, but they just kept referring to it as the floppy dick. Unofficial. So that's not going to be the name on the bag?
No, I don't think a lot of sports shops would like that one.
Probably not.
How do you obtain Battle Creek baits currently if I wanted some?
Right now I'm across a couple of shops up in New York. I'm in Stokes. I have been in Dow's on Hapakon. Aaron and Kevin actually recently helped me get into. I'm going to be in Ramsey's off of Route 10.
Nice.
That's going to probably happen somewhere around March or February. But right now, I'm pretty much online through Etsy. Before that, I was doing a lot of wholesale with a distributor, and that didn't work out too great. So through fate, I guess you want to call it, Aaron kind of popped into my world through Max and Jeremy. You know, I don't know if you guys know Max from the Knee Deep Club, but he's on the Junior Bassmasters. I've known him since he was 11. So trying to help out a kid ended up turning into a relationship with Aaron and Kevin.
He fishes with Mike Iaconelli's son. Is that him?
Yes. Yep. Okay. That's Vegas and Max. Yep. The two.
Yeah, of them. they dominate the junior bass fishing divisions. It's great.
Yeah. The first year I think Max and Vegas took 9th, and this year they had a devastating hit. They lost I think 2 or 3 like 6-pounders right at the boat and took 26th or 29th.
But that's nationally though. Locally, yes. They just crush everything.
Oh, absolutely. They're top 3, like usually 1 all the time. But yeah,
that's cool.
Now is that your mad laboratory that you're sitting in there? It looks like you're in some sort of a torture chamber.
Yeah, you called it that last time. Yeah, this is the shop. Basically, I'm one of the kind of homebrew kind of guys. I started out in my garage, and I'm still here, but I'm slowly spreading out. And Aaron and Kevin kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone because I was pretty much steelhead, trout. That was my passion. I'm a big pinhead. But I started making these baits, and that first walleye that you saw Aaron posted on his page, that monster, he didn't kind of divulge the secret yet, but that what'd you call it, floppy dick or whatever it was, was what that 8-pounder was caught on.
How many times can we say floppy dick in one episode before we get like some kind of rating?
I don't think Jerry likes the curse word, so I don't say any of that stuff.
The guy's lure is called floppy dick. I don't think that's cursing.
No, he said unofficially. He's not calling it that. Ramsey Outdoors not going to put that on their shelf.
Listen to me. I fished with Aaron for about 3 hours, and he said the word floppy dick about 27 times.
Yeah, I don't want to know what he said at all. I don't even care. Pete, do you do custom stuff?
I can. I've worked with everybody from anywhere to Montana. I have baits out in Alaska, Colorado, California. Everybody has come to me to kind of like ask what they really fish with out west, and they've done really well.
And what about saltwater? You make bigger baits?
I can. Everything for me right now is limited by molds. So if you came to me and said you want a big striper lure, whether it be a fluke, an eel, I actually have a mold behind me if you're interested in seeing, but a buddy of mine wanted, I think they're 10 or 12-inch eels.
Yeah, we'll see it. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a beast, but it's the stuff that it pretty much is your imagination. I mean, whatever you can come up with, we can make, I can make, but basically it's just time, you know. So this is I mean, you can see compared to my chest, but that's an eel mold.
Wow.
So
And you get these custom made, or you buy these?
I buy these. These are pretty much anybody can go and purchase these if you want. You can have custom molds made, but between the CAD drawings and CNC time, you're talking big time money. Usually around $1,000 a mold.
Now, what about scent? Is your stuff scented at all?
I can do anything you guys want. Pretty much my go-to, because of the trout world, is anything with garlic or anise. I'm a big fan of both.
I know Steelhead love that anise shit.
Yep, and I mean, to me, it smells like bad Zambuca. But
It smells like licorice.
Yeah,
yes.
licorice. It's a licorice smell.
Yeah, they do love it though. I don't know. It makes no sense at all. Why would a rainbow trout like licorice? It's just weird.
It is.
They like garlic.
And who the hell figured that out? Like, who was the first person that said, "Let me try some licorice for this rainbow steelhead"? Like, who did it?
Probably the same person that first tried to eat a lobster off the ocean floor. I mean,
yeah, that's
all
true.
kind of weird stuff if you think about it.
All right, so Pete, if someone watching this podcast right now wants to get some Battle Creek baits, like where do they go? What should they do? Should they
the easiest thing for me right now?
Right, because I want that thing Chris is flopping around and I have none. How do I get it?
What's it called?
I'm not saying it.
The floppy leech, we'll call it for this video. But the easiest way to get my baits right now until the transition's over is just email me at battlecreekbaits@gmail.com. We'll hit a quick conversation, and whatever you want. If you have some wacky, crazy colors you like, I pretty much have, I mean, it's literally sky is the limit when it comes to colors, and anything you could think of, we can come up with.
All right, I'll just have Billy White come just grab some stuff for me.
Hey, whatever you want.
I definitely want those floppies.
I'm going to go fishing with Aaron and just steal a couple of packs. That's what I'm going to do.
He has plenty. He can spare them.
Yeah, I'm sure he's stocked
He
up.
mentioned, I don't know if you started making me, you were going to make like a smaller version of that too.
Yep. A lot of guys, I don't know if you follow the bass fishing tournaments or whatever, but I have these days. But this is the skinnier profile. This is like a drop shot minnow. It's about 4 inches long. So that's a skinnier profile. And then Aaron, we're hoping to acquire, it's a 3 1/4. It's the exact same mold, just smaller.
Yeah, well, when I saw him using that, I said that'd make a pretty badass drop shot lure.
Yeah.
You live like kind of close to Bill White, right?
Bill, he's a good ways from me. Bill's in was it Saddle River or whatever, but we work in Jersey City together.
Oh, okay. So there you go. That's how I can get my stuff, by being lazy.
Oh yeah. I'll bring it to him, he'll bring it to you.
Pete, I want to thank you for taking your time tonight to come on here. I'm fishing with Aaron Wednesday, so I'll be using some of that stuff. If it's any good, I'll call you. If you don't hear from me, it was horrible, and I'm not interested. But I do appreciate you coming on. I really do.
Look forward to the next time, buddies.
All right, man.
All right, thanks.
All right, guys, be good.
Take care.
Okay, so that seems pretty cool.
Yeah, you know what? It's nice to be able to get any color combination you want from a lure, right?
Yeah.
Without making it yourself, that's the only way that's going to happen. It's either that or you settle for what's sitting on the shelf. So
you know what it is too. As much as he said, like, well, anybody could buy this mold. Like, certain guys have certain styles, and there's molds he has that other people don't have, and then there's molds they have that he doesn't have. So sometimes you might have to bounce between a few of these guys to get your bag filled with what you want. But I think it's cool to be able to buy it from, like, these are local Jersey guys that are making this stuff right here.
Yeah, and it's not more expensive. It's actually usually less expensive than a lot of these like high name brand stuff.
Yeah, it usually is. You're right, and some of it's more durable.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing I was gonna say. Like, yeah, so let's say he has a mold that, okay, you could buy this mold from someone. 800 other people could have that same mold. But whatever he's doing in the plastic, you have, and I've dabbled in this before. I've made some of my own plastics and stuff. I don't know if you ever messed around with it.
I know nothing about
So
that.
basically, you have the plastisol, which is what you're melting to get into that consistency to then color it and then you use it. But you can add all different stuff to it. You can add salt concoctions, you add softener, hardener, and you're getting the consistency of the plastic. Like 2, 3, 4 guys different mold lures are not going to be the same consistency. They're going to be different. However it is they've figured out how they want it to be, it's going to be like one guy's might be softer, another guy's might be a little tougher, it might not have as much action, but sometimes that might be good. Sometimes it'll have more action, and that might be good. And all these guys are going to be different. And it just, when you're dealing with these, like it sounds like you can email Pete and say like, hey, can you make this lure with these 2 colors and make it extra supple, like softer? Like, I don't care if it's going to be a little bit more fragile. I want it to be, and it sounds like he's going to do that. Like, he can do whatever you want, basically.
Make the adjustments.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go watch football. I'll give a special shout out to Katie Lynn. Katie Lynn caught her first striper. She vomited her brains out, but she did it wearing a Suffer for the Fish shirt, so it's well deserved. We're very proud of her. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't puke as much as Luke puked.
That's not possible from what I've heard. I've heard Luke can puke 3 times his own body weight, which I don't even know. I don't know where he gets it from. But
He puked so much. And I hope he's listening to this and laughing.
He's definitely listening to it.
He
so
puked. I'm not even joking. This is not an exaggeration. He puked every 20 to 30 minutes for about 10 hours straight, except for like a 1-hour period that he didn't. And to his credit, though, this was an amberjack jigging trip, 2 hours offshore out of North Carolina. And during that hour where he almost kind of felt better, and he didn't puke for that little hour window in the middle there, he got his ass up and he jigged at least 1, maybe 2 amberjack and caught his first amberjack. And anyone who hasn't fished for those, it's basically like catching a tuna. They fight just as hard as a tuna. You got to jig them down off the bottom of not super deep water, but 80, 100 foot water, 150, something like that. You're jigging these fish up, and they bulldog you and they fight like a tuna. It's tough. And to his credit, in between all that puking, he was able to do that, and then he kind of went back down and continued puking, I think. But
he's earned the nickname Ralph now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week as usual. Chris, you want to say goodbye to everyone?
No, not really. You can do it.
I'm not doing it either. I'm mad at everyone.
You're mad at everyone for what?
I'm not saying why.
Is it because you got bashed for holding a
Nah, I went over that. I don't care about those tree huggers. Andrew still called you a bunch of Karens. He said he has no time for waste book.
I mean, he seems to enjoy himself on there.
He loves it. Loves every minute of it. Because this is finally the first group ever that he's been accepted.
I don't know. I'd put it that far, but I won't boot him. I can't.
Never.
I enjoy it too much.
Yeah, he's the best. All right, we'll see everyone next week.
All right, take care, guys.